Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another session with the Business Hub. And today is the turn of the established business to take charge, and we're going to hear some powerful pitches. Please, if your friends are not in the room, reach out to them, let them join now because this is where it's happening. So go back on the group, tell them that it's happening here. So I'm going to hand over to Adewumi and Miriam, who will be taking us through today's session and anchoring us. Thank you all. Miriam, maybe you start with a word of prayer for us and then we'll go on.
Okay.
Miriam, you're on mute.
Sorry. In Jesus' name, Father, we thank you for today. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to come out to learn. And Father, we ask that you open up our eyes, open up our ears, open up our hearts, oh Lord, to receive all that is in store for us today. We thank you for the guests. We thank you for everyone present. We thank you for the business presentations. Father, oh God, we ask that you have your way in our meeting today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon from people in Europe. Good morning, good evening from any part of the world, you are joining us from. My name is Olabinjo Adewumi, and I'm a co-leader for the established business group. And I also have my partner here, Miss Marian Obert, who is also on the call. Today, myself and my partner, Miriam Obert, will be taking you, on a ride to unleash, what we have all been waiting for. And what have we been waiting for? We have been waiting, to see what these eagles then we've been posting on the group for the past few days, is all about. I want to tell you, chat to your friends if you can, drop them a message that Eagles Den has started. They have so much, to learn, from Eagles Den. And if you are here, I want you to stay glued to your screen. Don't touch that dial. If you can get a glass cup of water, or a glass cup of juice, I would like you to do that and stay glued to your screen because you have so much learning, unlearning, and relearning to do when it comes to business. Thank you so much. Welcome once again. So we have our speakers here on the call. We have 3 of our speakers here on the call today. And our first speaker is Mr. Opeyemi Awoyemi. And Mr. Opeyemi Awoyemi is an innovation and an impact entrepreneur. Mr. Opeyemi is a serial technology entrepreneur and investor from Nigeria. Is currently the general partner for Fast Forward, an impact venture studio and early stage fund committed to unlocking prosperity in Africa through technology. Previously, Mr. Opeyemi co-founded Jobberman in 2010. He helped in building it to becoming the largest online recruitment platform in Africa with 5 million plus users and 200K plus employees in Nigeria and in Ghana. Every month, Jobberman fills 5,000 plus job opportunities. He served as the company's first CTO, CMO, head of products, and eventually CIO. Jobberman was acquired by Ringia, one Africa Media, which means ROAM. And Mr. Opeyemi again played a pivotal role in setting up the ROAM, which became the largest online classified groups in Africa, and partially executed a stellar group of institutional investors like Ringa, AG, Tiger Global, and SEEK. His last role at Ringa One Africa Media was as the head of job division, with product strategy and P&L responsibility across 5 countries: Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. Mr. Opeyemi worked briefly at Indeed, the world's largest job website, as the senior technical product manager, leading job seeker APIs and GIGS team at different points. He is also the founder and chairman of Wugo Host, the largest domain and cloud hosting service in Nigeria, with over 50% market share of .ng, CC, CLD domain, and 70K plus clients. Mr. Opeyemi's work has been highlighted by Mark Zuckerberg publicly as a leading light in using technology to create developmental impact in Nigeria. Mr. Opeyemi has also his work has been featured in Forbes, CNN, Bloomberg, Fast Company, BBC, CNBC, Business Day, Bella Niger, and Tech Cabal, to mention a few. Through his work in marketing, products, and technology, Mr. Opeyemi has directly and indirectly impacted millions of lives. Also, as an investor, he has made bets on 50 plus tech startups in Nigeria, Kenya, USA, and the UK. Mr. Opeyemi holds a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and Engineering from the greatest university, Obafemi Awolowo University in Nigeria, and completed an executive education program for CIOs and technology leaders from CIO Institute. He has domain expertise in technology innovation, technology leadership, product development, growth marketing, user experience, graphic and web design, and online marketing. Please, I would like us, with a round of applause, let's welcome Mr. Opeyemi to the program. Mr. Opeyemi, if you are here, I just wanted you to, signify thank you for joining us on today's call. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir. So our second speaker for today is Mr. Ayodele Ojo. And Mr. Ayodele Ojo is the head of IS Audit. Mr. Ayodele Ojo is the head of IS Audit. He has professional affiliations with Information System Audit and Control Association, the chartered unit. Mr. Ayodele holds a Master's of Business Information Technology with distinction from Nottingham Trent University, an MBA from University of Warwick, PhD in IS, and Enterprise Resource Planning from California Intercontinental University, CIU, United States, and several professional certifications in the IT space. He is an alumnus of the University of Lagos, Nigeria, with Bachelor's of Science and postgraduate diploma degrees. Mr. Ayodele has held global leadership positions with global companies like American Tobacco, to mention a few. He is the current head of Information Security Audit for Money Corp, a global fintech group in the UK, leading a global team spread across 5 continents. Outside work, Mr. Ayo lead the ethnic diversity group for BP and won the prestigious Prince Trust UK Award for the leading Black and ethnic network, BEN for BP. He is an avid chess player, winning several UK team-based competition for his local constituent. Mr. Ayo currently runs 2 successful limited liability companies in the UK. One is a finance and IT assurance, government risks and compliance consultancy, and the second is an investment company focused on property development, management, and sales sector. Mr. Ayodele Ojo, you are welcome. You are welcome to the call this afternoon. If you are there, please, I want you to signify. You're welcome, sir.
Very much. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and our third speaker, we have Mr. Anikan, if I pronounced it well, Andrew Essien. And Mr. Anikan is a serial entrepreneur with interest in cybersecurity, consultancy, UK property investment, staff augmentation, training and development, mentoring and coaching. He attended Royal Holloway University of London and London Business School. Mr. Ani was born in Nigeria and later moved to England, where he has offered and still offers cybersecurity service to multiple companies in the financial, telecommunication, utilities, automotive, and government sector. Mr. Ani is married and blessed with 4 beautiful girls. In his spare time, he enjoys playing saxophone with his girls. Mr. Hanif, you're on the call. You are welcome. You're welcome to Covenant Christian Nation Business Hub. Thank you so much, Saz, for joining us. Like I said earlier, we have so much to learn today. So if you can still give that to your friend, your sister, a call, if you can drop them messages, it will be nice so that, you know, they can relearn, unlearn, and drop, you know, some things that they don't need for their business. So we go right now to the main agenda, to the main program, which is the Eagles Den pitch. And on today's pitch, we'll be having 2 wonderful, you know, contestants who have decided to stop, you know, daydreaming and start living their reality. You know, they have decided to pick up that mantle to build a global brand and generations lasting business. And first, today, our first speaker for today is Miss Faith Chidima. And Miss Faith Chidima is the founder of FitSafe LLC, and she is into female wear. Miss Faith Chidima, over to you. Your time starts now.
Thank you very much. Imagine a world where women can explore the outdoors, doing things they enjoy, like walking, running, hiking, without fear of being harassed or attacked. Good morning, everyone. My name is Faith Chima, and I am the proud founder of FitSafe. FitSafe is a women's activewear brand sorry for the distraction. It's a women's activewear brand that empowers women. We motivate women to engage in outdoor activities they enjoy, like walking, running, jogging, freely and safely. And how are we doing this? We're doing this with use of innovative sportswear and education. But before I dive into what FitSafe is doing and how we're changing the world one day at a time, I'd like to tell you a little bit of how we started. You see, FitSafe started out as an idea in the middle of the pandemic. Here I was, a mom of 3 young children, working full-time as an attorney and managing my household with my husband, who was also actively working full-time outside of the house. So I was saddled with all the housework, getting them ready for school. And as the weeks went by, I began to feel stuck. I was overwhelmed. I needed an outlet. And for me, the only thing that I could think about was to incorporate morning walks into my routine. And so I decided to start walking every morning at 5:30 in the morning. So I will go out, go for a walk, and come back. And when I come back feeling excited, energized, and ready to take on the day. But during one of my walks, I remember feeling uneasy. I was just thinking to myself, if I were to be attacked this morning, what would be my response? And with that question in my head, I went online in search for the perfect activewear. You see, I was looking for three things. I was looking for safety. If you could go to the next slide, I was looking for safety, I was looking for functionality, and I was looking for style. I couldn't find anything that had all of these three components. And in my mind, the only way to solve this problem was to make one, especially since 92% of female runners have reported feeling unsafe while running. And did you know that 68% of women have been harassed in public spaces like streets, trails, and neighborhood parks? And so what is FitSafe doing? What are we doing to solve this problem of women's safety in the outdoor space? Well, we're doing this by integrating safety into all of our products. So from design to construction. Next slide, we're integrating safety. You see right now, you're seeing our high impact reflective pocket sports bra. We're very proud of this product. It is patent pending. Most sports bra have pocket behind, which is not practical. It's not easily accessible. But the front, ours has a front pocket and it's right below the chest. It has a zipper, so it can store all of your items safely and securely. You can put your energy bars in there. You can put your phone. It's large enough to store an iPhone 13 Pro Max. Another thing that we have is a hidden inner pocket that you can use to store portable safety devices like a pepper spray, a mace, a safety whistle. So, if you have a creeper behind you, you can whip that baby out and protect yourself. All of our products are made with highly visible reflective materials. So during the daytime, as you can see on the screen, it gives you a subtle look. It's very complimentary. But at night, you will glow. So when you're walking, you can be visible and seen by motorists, because most people tend to walk early hours of the morning or at night. And nothing concerns me more than seeing people walking in the dark, because you can't tell that somebody's on the road. So with our products, it's a comprehensive safety solution for all of your needs. So it eliminates the need for additional accessories like backpack, fanny pack, and it also eliminates the need for a reflective vest because you can be visible in the morning and at night. And our leggings is a body sculpting leggings. It's designed to hold you in. It's high-waisted, so it gives you a comfortable but snug fit. It also features front pockets and also has all of the reflective pieces on it. The fabric is high quality. It's a combination of nylon and spandex. I personally tested out these products. It went through several washes just to be sure that, we were able to stand behind our product. And we're very proud of how it performs. It has performed over time. Now, the market size, the outdoor industry has a huge market size. If you could go back to the previous slide, please. It's a huge industry. The total market size is $862 billion. But our focus, our serviceable market is 5.1 billion. That's where you see all the hikers, all the people that enjoy camping, and a lot of our target consumers fall under this market. The market continues to expand. In 2022, 10.6 million Americans joined, participated in outdoor activities, and 46% of all outdoor participants are female, which forms a huge chunk of our target audience. As for scalability, like I said, next slide, please, we are A lot of people are getting into this space. Health and wellness is a huge reason why a lot of our customers engage in hiking and walking, and that is a big industry in of itself. And research has shown that participation in outdoor recreation is sticky. So once you get in, you can't get out. So, once you go for a hike, once you go for a stroll through your neighborhood, around your neighborhood, you begin to see the benefits, both health-wise, mentally, physically. And that's why, they refer to it as sticky, because once you start, it's hard for you to stop. Research has also shown that a lot of people like to go for walks around their neighborhood. So even though we have a lot of national parks in the United States, people tend to want to explore neighborhood parks. So our products comes in very handy because it's a one-stop solution for all of your outdoor needs. It keeps you safe, it's functional, and it's stylish. Next slide, please. Where are we now? Oh, sorry, our competitive edge. We have competitors like Stronger, Oisil, and several other brands. But the thing that stands us out is that FeetSafe is the first activewear with a strong focus on women's safety. And we're not just designing clothes, we're really invested in spreading awareness about women's safety. And we're also interested in teaching people how to explore the outdoors safely, and where the freedom, because we're choosing freedom over fear. So we want women to be able to go out. You can go out, to go out by yourself or go out in company of friends, being assured that they are ready to take on any risk that might come their way. Another thing that sets us apart is our functional pockets. All of our pockets are functional. Most brands have pockets on the chest region without a zipper, so your items can fall out while running. Ours has a zipper, and we have a strong focus on safety. We have a comprehensive solution for women's safety. Next slide, please. So where are we now? Right now, we are launching our website. You can go to the next slide. We're launching our website. We will be live on Wednesday. We have a launch discount coming up, 15% promo. We have already started collaborating with influencers and companies that sell portable safety devices to women and to the public at large. We're also reaching out to brands that sell energy bars and healthy snacks that we can partner with in spreading the word. Another thing that we're very passionate about is educating people, educating women especially, about how they can safely explore the outdoors. Next slide, please. Our vision. So this is our vision. We truly envision a world where all women can enjoy the thrill of the outdoors fearlessly. And so what are we asking for today? We're asking for your support. We're asking for awareness. We're asking for skilled support, any ways that you can support our brand. It's a new brand. We would appreciate that support, and we appreciate you telling a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Faith Chima, for such a wonderful presentations. So I would, to my judges, over to you, Mr. Okweyemi Awoyemi. Please, what do you have to say about the presentation? What do you have to say about Faith's business, and what advice, would you give to Faith as an angel investor, sir?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here today. I think that was a really good presentation. I couldn't follow the slides as much as I could, but I think there were a lot of, should I say, interesting information from the few slides I could follow. So I will talk about like the really core highlights. The presentation itself, our flow, how she narrated the story, how she started, was really wow. The whole story of why she decided to do this, was also very personal and empathic. I could see myself following her journey. And and she landed on a very strong point. Safety. We hear of ills, people being scared, and even God forbid the worst issues, rape, murder, and whatnot. So clearly there is really a clear need here and an audience that really resonates right with that. So I think you definitely built the right thing. Also, you're building this in the US. It's also the right market. The market has a high willingness to pay. A lot of people want to stay fit as well. So you're building the right business in the right market. I didn't necessarily get a sense of how you're really strong in terms of the competition. Because, for example, when you mentioned the names of the competition, I've never heard of them before. But I had Stronger. I had another name. I got a sense that they were also focusing on safety. That I don't know yet. Of course, I would have to check. But if that's the case, you definitely need to really wrap out the different edge. And it's okay. I mean, there can be multiple brands in a space. I mean, the market is just so big, right? That everybody's not going to just go to one brand. I like the way you've also talked about going to market, right? Especially the partnerships with those who make devices that can fit into those spaces. There's also a lot of issues, news that are popping up that you could definitely quote unquote leverage, to put more spotlight, on what you're building. So, for example, I really understand how to work out PR. I could imagine that if there's an issue on, a jogger, being attacked or being harassed, the person is covering it. They want to speak with a couple of experts on how could this change, in the market. They definitely want to be speaking with someone like you, and say, oh, Chidima, founder of, Fit Safe, said that, and that's where you start getting more of the brand out there through earned media. So there's a lot of stuff you can definitely do on the media side. So at the end of the day, manufacturing of this kind of thing is straightforward, right? A lot of people can do it. So it's really more of how you really put the brand outside and do strategic partnerships to really win. And I think that's where you need to spend most of your time on, right? Building a big brand, a global brand is not easy. You need the right partners, the right influencers, you need the right stories, and sometimes you just need luck and grace of God. Just being there at the right moment where someone says, "Oh, had I known, had I had this, my life would not be where it is today," or what happened would not have happened. And then you just see the brand takes off with hundreds of thousands of others. I didn't hear anything about how you're sorting out capital to back this business. Is that something you want to talk about?
You mean like how I'm accessing
Are you
funds?
raising money or are you self-funding, taking a
Oh,
loan?
self-funding for now,
Self-funding
self-funding.
for now.
Yes.
And what's the plan? The midterm plan after self-funding? Understandably, you have to self-fund initially. Then what do you want to do after that? Do you plan to raise money or plan to self-fund this through sustainability?
Yes, I plan on attending a lot of pitches where I can access money from investors. And sometimes they have a lot of pitch competitions as well. So I plan on doing a lot of that. And then also, if I need to scale quickly, getting a loan.
Got it. Cool. Thank you very much for the pitch and best of luck.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Opeyemi Aboyemi. Thank you so much. Mr. Ayodele Ojo, please, what do you have to say to Ms. Faith Chidima concerning a pitch and concerning a business?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, that's good. I'll just call Faith because that's clear to me. So I don't want to mess up your name in any way, shape, or form. Well, kudos to you. Well done for what you've done. Well done for what you're trying to do. It's a testimony of what you're trying to achieve. It's a strong place to be in, to be able to think of something, develop it, and then take it to the market. I will try not to echo some of the things my colleague has said there, Kwayemi. I'm sure you're taking notes. I'll try and highlight some stuff on my part. I'm really sorry for my very good friend, Annie. Maybe by the time he gets to you, we've covered everything, and then I have only one thing to say. Yeah, the presentation was good. And please take this as feedback from a friend. rather than criticism. So this is just an opportunity to improve.
Yes.
There were areas where you were not aligning what you were saying with the slide pack. I understand that somebody else was doing it for you, but that's something you've got to nail down when you're making your presentations. That what you're saying is what's coming up on the screen. Otherwise, people are getting distracted, wondering what is on the screen and not listening to you. Your presentation enhances, supports, and aligns with what you're saying and should not be a distraction. You then need to do some housekeeping in terms of the presentation itself. There was a particular slide 6, where it says click to add text. So little things like that are a little bit of a distraction, and then it leads to people saying, does she have the attention to detail? The other piece there, which was a bit highlighted, is that you made a lot of references to numbers and stats, but you didn't say where you got it from. So again, those are the things you need to be able to say. So if you're saying 92% of women feel unsafe, where did you get that from? Did you get it from Ayodele and Sons webpage, Wikipedia, or Forbes? Those kind of references give a lot of power to your stats, especially if somebody's in the room that has those stats to hand and it's contradictory, then it becomes very challenging that, oh, is she making it up or is she not making it up? So like I said, your slide pack should be an enhancer, saying exactly what you wanted to say and not a distraction. So like I said, just a few housekeeping there. And one point just to echo is I didn't get the USP, what makes it unique. Back to Mr. Koyami's point that it seems that you've got competitions out there. You've got to think of something that makes yours different. Yes, you've got better material. That's fine. You've got a good story to come up with your personal experience, which is quite useful. I'm a father of 2 girls. So in my house, we've got 3 ladies. So I can relate to what you're saying. And even as a guy, uh, I'm worried when I go out. So I'm always wearing IVs and all that jazz, so I can get where you're coming from. But you've got to come up with something that makes yours different, so that when they talk about yours and others, yours stands out from memory. One thing that came to me that you might think of is the fact that, I mean, as you can imagine, there are a lot of women get attacked either in the US, even in the UK, and even Nigeria, whatever it may be. Is having maybe a hidden patch where you could have a GPS tracker. Because most times when these things happen, the first thing a kidnapper would do is get rid of the phone because you can trace the phone. But if you have a small hidden sachet where you could have a GPS pack, so that when people go out, people can find where they are being, that would be useful. I think that's something to think about. And I know that there are GPS trackers that are quite cheap to procure and come and use for that product. Aside from that, when you make a presentation to angel investors, you've got to be clear. What is the ask? What are you asking them for? And what are they going to get out of it? So if you're coming to an angel investor and saying, okay, I need £10,000, you need to be able to say that £10,000 will get you X, and out of that you get Y over this duration. So an angel investor immediately knows what it is. So it's not a case of figuring out what do you want and what am I going to get. You've got to be very clear on what you want. So if I'm an investor and I have £20,000, for example, and you need 50, I know I'm out of the game. But if you're asking for 20 and I have 20, then I need to know exactly what's my ROI on what I'm getting. So you've got to be very clear on your ask. And if you're talking about scalability, I think you take that a step at a time, so that when you are making those presentations, those asks, it's quite defined. Don't make it too vague that people think she doesn't know what she's talking about. You need to come up with the cost, the ROI, the timeline, and how you're going to measure or deliver on those points. But aside from that, you're on the right track. I think a bit more practice. Trust me, practice makes that presentation go well as well, because you then know exactly where you are at any point in time. And even if it's a case of you clicking it yourself so that you can pace yourself, then that's fine as well. So work on the presentation. It's quite good, but enhance your references. Use powerful reference points that people are familiar with, like I said, Forbes, Good Woman, Good Housekeeping, any of these internationally known brands where those figures are coming from. Put them in your slide pack. Make sure that it's aligned to what you're saying. Make sure you're clear on your USP. Look for something that makes you stand out when you're talking about it compared to others. You will find it. It's always, you don't make it generic like we're all in the same space. Yours is special because this, and make it out there, because I think you put it towards the end of your slide as safety. That should be one of the first things you're talking about. What makes you stand out compared to the competition? And then be clear on the ask. Whatever it is you want people from, whatever you want from them, let them know. So if you're presenting to a communications team, your ask will be different. If you're talking to angel investors, your ask will be different. If you're talking to a PR team, your ask will be all manufactured. So you've got to be clear what it is, but don't make it generic that everybody thinks, oh, this is not my space, or I'm the wrong audience. Okay, well done, and more grace to your elbow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ayodele. And over to Mr. Ani Andrew. Please, what do you have to say to our candidate, Ms. Faith Chima?
Hi, Faith. Thank you so much for having me on this portal today. Yeah, I think the presentation was quite, I think your narrative was quite good, Faith. You did walk through your journey, where you started from and where you are now. I think for me, as a few of my colleagues have mentioned as well, it didn't follow through. I was more focused around what you were saying and trying to map it to your presentation, and it didn't just align. You know, I have a few questions here. You talked about patents, that you do have a patent for the sport bra. You know, I was concerned, I was worried, is it local patent? Or are you looking at have you got an international patent? Some sort of information. How easy is it, even around your competitors as well, to be able to trademark that? And also, you talked about the competition and the comparison. To be clear, I don't really know those names, maybe because I'm not in the States. So I couldn't really relate to your competitors. I was hoping you would bring the brand names like Nike, Adidas, and all those ones, because they've also got sports bra. To see where your comparison was alongside those brands are well known. The market space, you've got a good market size there. There is no data to support it, so I couldn't really. There was no way to validate what you had stated. Sources of data was one of the comments I had here. One thing I think was missing in the slide pack was your financial projections as well. Year 1, year 2, all the way to year 5. You know, if I'm going to be investing in your business, I need to understand if there's a growth plan here. Some sort of forecast or growth driver will be quite good to see. Also, production cost of what you're producing would have been lovely to see what that stats look like. You know, how much does it cost? Where are you getting your shipment from? You know, are you locally getting this, or are you creating them in-house? You know, some sort of, if you can include that in your narrative as well, that would actually help. Struggling to hear me? Can you hear me now? Is that better? Can you all hear me now?
A bit.
Yes.
All right, sorry. So yeah, production cost was missing in yours. I don't know if it showed up on the stats, but I didn't really get the figures where it was. In terms of your markets, it was later on that I figured out you were based in the US. I actually thought you were based somewhere in Africa, but trying to figure out where this market was that you were focused on. So that wasn't very clear from your onset. Another thing as well that would be quite useful in your pitch deck is your core team. You know, you're the founder, right? And who is your team? Or is it just a one woman band description of your party? That does to show that you've thought throughout your model, your operating model as well. The business model wasn't really clear to me in terms of revenue stream. So that wasn't, I couldn't really didn't show numbers per se, so I couldn't really pick that up. So anyway, we could actually support your brand. It wasn't very clear what kind of support you needed from us as investors. You know, and how much did you need? Interest, how much did you really need, and what you were giving away in terms of equity? That wasn't very clear in your pitch deck. So I think you did mention the USP as well wasn't very clear to me as well. You have a functional pocket with zips, women's safety. That was about it. Was that a problem in the past? You know, so I wouldn't know. So I think when you're starting off your pitch, some narrative around that a bit more, and your presentation as well, make it a little bit more colorful so that you can attract your audience. I think that will really help. Yeah, the market size as well was one of the things I mentioned. And where you are on your journey, all you've done is launch the website, right? And you're going live on Wednesday. It doesn't really give me a lot of confidence. Launching a website doesn't take a bit of time, right? So how many products are you going to market? Are we doing a pilot? And when are you looking to move on to the next phase of your production? So a lot of things were missing in the deck for me to give me confidence in terms of investment. But I think in terms of your narrative, you got your storyline good. You were very confident about what you were talking about. It seemed like you knew what it was you wanted to get out there, but there were just some missing gaps there. So for me, it didn't give me a lot of confidence. I think it would have been something I would have had to come back to look at again with you, maybe on a one-to-one to understand a bit more on your business itself. And it would be nice to know if you've done any other businesses before FitSafe, because it would show me that you've got some experience in the game as well. And are you doing any other jobs, or is this your main job, so that I can understand if the investment is right for where you are. If you believe in your dream, then maybe this should be the only gig you're doing at the current time. So I think that was it for me in terms of my notes that I had here. But yeah, very good. Well done, and keep it up, really. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Annie Andrew. Let's give it up for Miss Faith. You did a great job. Please, let's send in our virtual clap. You did a great job. That was really, really wonderful. That was really wonderful. Thank you so much for your presentation. Now we go to the next candidate for today. And our next candidate for today is Mr. Dotun Olukoya of EdTech. Mr. Dotun, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to our VCs and instructors. My name is Dotun Olukoya, and I'm the founder of Troop Academy. Did you know that the key to excelling in mathematics is as simple as knowing which details to ignore? Troop Academy takes care of that problem. Based in Ipswich, Troop Academy is a revolutionary learning platform that has turned this insight into a proven workflow. Our approach not only improves math skills, but also enhances critical thinking across subjects. In fact, every single one of our students has outperformed their predicted math grades in secondary school. We offer 3 tiers of our service: a free tier, a basic tier, and a premium tier, each designed to meet the unique needs of our diverse student base. With 11 years of experience in math coaching, a BSc and a master's degree in economics, I have taught maths for a long time, and that is what I bring to bear here. In addition to my education, I have practiced what I've learned in my background in payment systems and operations. And all this is what I've used to design Troop Academy to be both effective and scalable. Now, I'll just do a short demonstration of how Troop Academy works. Okay. All right, so what you see on the screen is the Troop Academy website. This is one of our courses. I'll use the free 11 plus maths course to demonstrate. All right, so what we do is we present a workflow for the students to use to learn. So we make it very interactive, rather than just going online and listening to a course and maybe sleeping off during the course. We make sure that the student cannot complete the course, cannot complete a lesson without being in charge of it. So here the student goes. So rather than being told what to do, we first present them with a test to give them a predicted score. The aim of this test is to make them confident for the lesson itself. So this one is simple. Once a student does this one, goes through this, finishes this particular test, so once they finish, they get their predicted score. There's a mistake. So once they get the predicted score, then they can go to the lesson itself. So with that predicted score, they can take the lesson and go through the lesson, and they have something, they will get their scores, and from there, their parents or whoever is their support system can see just how well or how badly they paid attention in class. So that way, there'll be no issue of getting lost or getting bored. Okay, thank you very much. So my ask, I'm here today to ask for 20%, $20,000 in exchange for 1% equity in Troop Academy. Thank you for your questions, feedback, and support, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adedotun Olukoya, for such a wonderful presentation. Thank you and well done. So over to my panelists, I'll call on Mr. Ayodele Ojo. Please, what do you have to say to Mr. Adedotun Olukoya?
So, thanks. Well done. Can I call you Dotun? Quite familiar with Dotun. That's fine. Yeah, so thanks for that presentation. It was short, straight to the point, but I must admit, it didn't flow for me. I'm having to fill in the gap, and I'll tell you where I'm filling in the gap. Initially, I didn't even know whether you were based in Nigeria, you were based in the US, you were based in the UK. And obviously, finally figured that out because I saw the England and Wales. And as you know, there are different curriculums for different people, for different countries. You can't just use one blanket curriculum. So you've got to know what your target audience is. Is it for the people in Nigeria? Is it for what kind of, shall we say, certification? Because as you even in England, you have two different methodologies or certifications or ways of teaching or exams you can do to get your GCE and your A-level courses. So I didn't get that quickly. Then I didn't see the link of the predictive scores you did with the course itself. Yes, you did the predictive scores. In my experience, the predictive scores is usually arrived at based on what you've done. So it says because of what you've done here, you are predicted to get A star, A, or what have you. That is how it works. But you've gone the other way around, which is done something, said this is your predictive scores, and then you come back to do the course. So I couldn't wrap my head around that. And I know it's because my daughter is now getting ready for her GCSE. So that's all we talk about. So again, your presentation, your target audience, you've got to be very, very mindful as to what you're trying to say and make sure that you're saying what you actually mean. So predictive scores, as you've explained, it is not my understanding. I think it will throw a lot of people because it's just saying this is what you're likely going to get based on this. And if you then said, once you've done that test, you can then attempt that level of difficulty or that level of difficulty, then that makes sense to me. But you didn't say that, just say you get your predictive scores and then you take the course. And I think you've got to be a bit more familiar with your presentation as well. Just like I said earlier on, it seems as if you struggled a bit. So you're thinking, if you, the owner, the person that came up with this, is struggling, how easy will it be for a 15 or a 16-year-old who's going there for the first time? And usability of a platform is quite key to either making people continue to use it or not. Because if they have a very, shall we say, low user experience, they probably won't go back, and they probably tell dad and mom that they're not interested. So you've got to figure that out. I did not see the interactive nature you pointed to. It's a good word, being interactive, but how does my child interact with that website to keep him or her engaged? I didn't get that. So maybe there's something that you sort of missed out. But you've got to be clear. Again, is knowing what you want to say and making sure you've said it the way you meant it, and maybe test running. And I guess that's why you're here. And then you ended up, and I'm guessing, yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong. You just said, oh, you're asking for 20,000 for 1%. 1% of what? What's your turnover already? What are you making? So how many other? So I didn't get that. You can't just say give me 20,000 for 1%. The next question is, what about the other 99%? And how much did those people put in? So you've got to be clear what is yours, what you are making available, and whether it's negotiable or not negotiable. That 20,000 for 1%, what's my ROI? Am I going to get that 20,000 pounds in 6 months, in 12 months? I don't know. So some things to just clean up and rub off. But it's good, a good idea. The one final thing I'll say, then I'll stop talking, is given the fact that you're basically self-certifying your product, you will need other professionals to sort of give you like references or accolades or certification to say, yes, I've gone through this. A professor in maths has reviewed this and thinks this is a good way forward. You need that sort of, because parents don't know. They would rather deal with people that are in the knowledge before putting their kids through it. The devil you know, and the devil is in the details. So you need to put a bit more effort in terms of getting other professionals in your field that can say, yeah, this is actually a good methodology to enhance your child's skill set that you can reference, that people can go and Google, as you know, people Google anything these days. But just saying that I've done it for 10 years and I'm a self-certified person saying my product is good, it's probably not a good enough conviction for parents to start looking onto your website. But well done. It's a good idea. You just need to firm it up and build it up. Well done.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Ayodele Ojo. Over to you, Mr. Annie Andrew.
Yes. Hi, good day. So thank you so much, Adidotsu. Thank you so much for going through your pitch deck. Yes. It was quite light on detail, I'll be honest. But what I gathered, and I'm just going to walk through my understanding, is you started off, I was trying to understand what your unique selling point was. So what problem are we trying to fix? The one comment you made was knowing what to ignore. So that was a good catchphrase, but what am I trying to get my kids to ignore? Because whilst you were walking through your solution, I was actually thinking about my girls as well, if this is something that they will be so interested in. Yeah, as you talked about, you've got the experience. So good thing I think you have been an 11 years maths coaching. You've been coaching maths for about 11 years. You talked about critical thinking, predictive scoring, workflow, interactive. Those were the key points I got. You also started off trying to give me your service catalog, which covered free, basic, and premium. And I think that was just where it hung for me, and I didn't get more out of you from there. So I think a few things you need to just go back onto your pitch, starting off with what the age range is you're targeting the solution for. I didn't get that, considering I've got a 12-year-old. My range of my kids is from 6 to about 12. I was thinking, does this fit with my 12-year-old? One thing that I saw on your website, on the page you demoed, was I saw on the left-hand pane 11 plus. So I think your solution is probably looking at 11 plus. Is that correct assumption?
So no, it's from 11, serves 11 to 19. In fact, it's built for everybody, but we're starting with 11 to 18-year-olds.
Okay. So that would be really useful at the start to give us that brief. So age range, I wasn't very clear. The USP, I was trying to understand what problem you're trying to solve itself. Also the usability as well. Can we use it on mobile? You've shown me the web function, right? I wasn't sure if this would work on mobile. And for kids, how do we keep kids engaged? You know, and if you're going to demo something, there shouldn't be an error. You know, you could, and trust me, just ignore it. If there's an error, just overlook it. Don't make it obvious in some cases. Just overlook it. These things do happen. So usability wasn't clear to me. What support system does my kid have if they come onto your portal? You know, what's the market size that we're targeting for your solution as well? That wasn't very clear. And we you know, in as much as we're trying to enhance the children's knowledge, it will be nice. It's also a business at the other side, right? You're asking for about £20,000 or $20,000. What exactly are you using $20,000 for? Break it down to me where you want to apply that $20,000, so that we can know where is it going, what pilots in, and also your growth plan as well will be really good to see. Similar to what with Faith, your financials were missing. How long have you been doing this in terms of this solution in the market? Is it in the market already, or you're still at demo phase? You know, that was missing. And your projected financials will help us to know if it is a viable business for someone like us to actually invest in. You know, £20,000 for 1% of Troop Academy. What is the valuation that you're giving to Troop Academy to demand 20,000? Do we know if Troop Academy is actually worth $20,000? You know, it's not very clear. You know what kind of IPs you've got, and I've actually seen, in terms of competition alongside comparison, I've actually seen this being used, especially here in the UK. My kids actually do use a few of these portals, and it's quite interactive. Especially you mentioned now that it can be for any age range. So, you know, for me, I think those were some missing details. And also describe what the free, the basic, and the premium is, and where is the revenue stream coming from, and where you're seeing a lot more requests coming in. As your requests coming in from premium, most importantly, if we're using premium, what do we get? Do we get some sort of additional functionality? Do we get a one-to-one session with you once a week, maybe 15 minutes with my child? You know, what exactly am I getting from you for premium? Or do I just use the basic free? And is there a limitation on the free against that? So, and again, I think it will be quite useful for you to do something on the presentation slide, so that people, while you're speaking, we can have something to refer to whilst you're walking through. Always try as much as possible to, at the end of the day, if you're doing something on a PowerPoint presentation, to leave something for your investor so they can have a look at it, punch the numbers, and see if it makes sense. So, so for me, I think those were and is it just you in your organization? When was Troop Academy founded? Right? There was no indication of that in the, you know, where do I check for Troop Academy? And are you accredited to any governing bodies? You know, are you stated that you're probably based in Wales or England? So are you affiliated to any bodies within England and Wales to allow us to utilize your portal? So just I think it's just light on detail. I bet the next time you're presenting this, you'll bring a lot of this points to the forefront. For your angel investor, they are looking to invest in as much as they have a passion for the children, but it's also a business. So they're looking at the business element as well. If this is really going to make them money, and for how long? When do they pull out that £20,000? And 1% equity, you know, I don't know if that's too low or too much. I don't know. Or it's just a finger in the air number. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Annie Andrew. So before I go to Mr. Opeyemi Awoyemi, please, if you have a question, you know, like I said earlier, we're here to learn, to relearn, and to drop some things. And I know, you know, people, most of us, you know, we are trying to start something. We don't understand one thing about our business. Now is the right time, you know, for you to ask your questions. Now you have the opportunity to ask your questions. So don't hesitate to ask your questions. You can drop your questions on the chat box. We read them out, to our judges, and your question will be answered. So the next person is Mr. Opeyemi Awoyemi. Please, what do you have to say to Mr. Adedotun Olukoya?
Thank you very much, Wumi. So, Ade, thank you for sharing this with us. From a tech point of view, I had a lot of concerns. So, number one, I got the message of what you were trying to do. Pretty much prep and know what people should focus on, what they should not focus on, and pretty much get out quick. Pretty much by giving them a set of questions, right, and then give them a predicted score, right? I like that catch. The idea sounds nice. I could imagine seeing an advert that says, predict your IGSE score, JAM score, SAT score, right? It's a catch. Everybody wants to go to it. So I think from a marketing point, from a brand point, go to market, you definitely have been thinking hard about that, and you have a good catch there. But the product itself, left a lot to be desired, right? So number one, it was on Moodle. In my mind, I'm like, anybody can replicate this. That means you just, for what you lack on the tech side, you have to double down on the marketing side, where this predict your score brand thing, you have to really push it out there. And probably if you launch it today, you might make a lot of money this year, because everybody gets a sense that, oh, you've done a lot of scientific work to make sure that the questions you are asked can, quote and unquote, predict that score to almost an accurate point. And when you start saying things like predict your score, you probably might also need to do a lot of piloting first, right? Where you could say, yes, it predicted scores to 95% accuracy, confidence interval for, X number of people that were first tested. So people can actually believe it, or else why should someone tell me predict my score and then I will go for it? So that's another part, right? Everything that the other jury have said is very valid. Presentation was not necessarily, packed. Demo, very light on detail. I mean, you might be able to get away with not telling us about your accreditation and whatnot, because maybe there's really not a body that accredits people that are doing testing. Like, I don't know whether Magoosh and all these other guys are accredited either, but at least give us some data that supports why prediction is accurate. I would love to see that. Then on the fundraising bit, from everything I get, from the fact that I can see that it's Moodle, a couple of questions, that was even cleaned up. So I know you've not even launched anything. So I already know you don't even have traction, right? Right. For that, 20K at 1% sounds a bit like I'm taking too much risk, right? And probably I might lose my shirt, I might lose my money. As an investor who invests in tech, I'm very much okay and comfortable with losing my money. But, right, but at least I'll check whether it's high risk, high reward. Am I coming too early or coming too late? So I would say, oh, yeah, great work. Let's see you do more, and let's talk sometimes in the future. That's going to likely be my feedback as an angel investor to you, because I'm like, you're not ready yet, but the idea itself sounds like it can get somewhere. So maybe when you're close to being ready, then it's what I don't mind paying a premium at that point in time, because currently at 20%, 20K for 1%, you are valuing the company at $2 million, right? For something that is pretty much idea stage, right? And we can't see it yet. And your chances of winning are still like, it has to be by a stroke of luck, not like, oh, it's like a physical product that, at least you sell a bit, even if you don't sell a lot. You get the point. So again, my chances of losing my money is just too high that if I'm going to even take that risk, right, I have to be compensated, than the $2 million valuation for idea stage that you're pushing forward. So that's my feedback. I think the product needs to be a bit more developed, then a bit of more confidence in why you can accurately predict the score, and maybe a bit of traction, how hard is it to get 100 students to take a 10-question test? That should be super easy if you're a serious entrepreneur. At least that's how an investor is going to view it, and be able to say, oh, we tested with 100 students, and after they took their test, we were able to predict the score. At least 80% of them go within the range that we gave, right? Just throw a bit of scientific validation there, to make us know that, okay, this is something that can be truly adopted, and then if that happens by a stroke of luck, it may eventually become like an IQ test that the whole world is taking, who knows, and then we'll start printing money. So good luck. Wishing you the best there. Do more and let's stay in touch, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Like you heard Mr. Dedotun, he said you should do more and let's stay in touch. I hope you got that. Thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation. Please, let's send in our virtual clap to Mr. Adedotun Ayodele. He also did a very great and wonderful job. Thank you so much. So we have, some questions which I would like our guests, to shed, in light on. So I would like to ask Mr. Ayodele Ojo, please, can you, briefly shed light on what, selling equity means? What does it mean to sell equity? Can you please, quickly brief us on selling of equity?
Okay. Very equity is let's say you have a company, but 100% share in it. It's your company. You can then register that company and say this company is 100 shares for £1 each. So that means it's valued £100. Similar to what Mr. Kwame calculated that by selling 20%, 1% at £20,000, then that means you are valuing your company 2 million. So let's assume, for example, you have a company, 100 shares, £1 each, that's £100. So your equity in that company is £100, right? 100%. If you now want to bring in more funds, you can then say this, although these shares are valued at £1 each, you can sell 20 at £20, which means you sold 20% of your equity. So you no longer have 100%, you now have 80, and whoever buys that 20 now has 20. So it's 80 to you, 20 to the person that has paid. That £20 comes in as cash, which you then use to do whatever you say you want to use it to do, and then do more work. That's simply what it means. It's selling your share, your equity, your share to others to raise funds. You can, as you will tell, you can either sell it at the share value, so it's £1, and you sell it at £1, or you can say, you know what, even though it's £1, I'm going to sell it at £3 because I know what I'm doing is going to give us X amount. And if people agree with you, they will buy it at £3. So that's you can that's how you raise more money from having a £1 share, but that's going too far. I hope that helps.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Mr. Annie Andrew, please, can you also shed more light on that, sir?
Yeah, so in regards to equity sharing, it's your based on your valuation, what part of your share are you giving away as part of your business? Let's assume you're the only director, only shareholder of your business. You now own about 100%, whatever the valuation might end up being, or subject to a few parameters. You might want to give away a certain percentage to an angel investor against others. And then you start talking about what are they bringing to the table? If it's just funding, then that's what it is. But in most cases, it might be funding alongside some their expertise alongside with it. And with that, what kind of returns are they getting with that percentage of equity stake being sold to them? So, in addition to what Ayo has actually said, that's kind of from an angel investor standpoint, those are kind of things that we look out for.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, sir. So, Mr. Awuyemi, please, I want you, to shed more light on bookkeeping. And why do I say that? Africans are moving into the diaspora, opening businesses, establishing businesses, but I see that most business owners have a problem when it comes to bookkeeping. Can you give us some wake-up tips about bookkeeping, the advantages and how far this bookkeeping can take us when it comes to building a global brand?
I'm not sure on exactly how to answer that question. There is bookkeeping, there is accounting, and there is finance. All three things that sound similar or like the same, but they are not the same. Also, my assumption is that anybody that is trying to build a global brand definitely does bookkeeping, right? Or they have someone that's doing that. I mean, you know, like you put $1 billion in your personal pocket, right? And it's not like you run a $1 billion company with one person. You run it with hundreds of people. So needless to say, you're going to have this covered. So, but I would assume you're just talking about people that even want to get into business, I don't even keep records to start with, right? And are thinking of growing big, which means if you cannot even keep records at the very small stages, then how do you intend to grow big? I would assume that's what the question. I do want to clarify the question because bookkeeping and building a global business are two different. I mean, it's like yeah, someone that want to fly somewhere and he doesn't even know how to get a visa. So, so I'm not even sure exactly how to answer that question. Can you help me clarify?
Okay,
So I know I'm answering the right question.
Okay, so you can just briefly touch upon accounting and bookkeeping in businesses. I don't know if you get me, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I guess I'll just get creative and just go on a limb and then just kind of talk about building businesses and what you need to know in terms of numbers, especially within the context of those who've pitched today, right? So, for example, what Faith's business, she will definitely cover bookkeeping. If she's using e-commerce systems, you know, the books will be kept automatically. She doesn't really need to even spend time thinking about bookkeeping. But let's talk about finance. Let's talk about corporate finance strategy, right? From a finance point of view, right? It's very important if you want to play global business to, number one, think about your unit economics, right? How much do you make per product? One of the things also to the point of coming from Nigeria that a lot of Nigerians make mistake on is we're very used to do business where we price based on what the customers around us say they can pay, right? So, for example, is one of the leading causes of business not succeeding in Nigeria, frankly, where you make your product, the cost of producing a unit of your product is 20 naira, and then you sell for 23 naira, 22 naira. But when you come to this side, you realize that people make product for 6 naira and sell for 100 naira, right? Like 94%. What am I saying? 94, you know, like for 6, when you say make for 6 and you're selling at 100. That's pretty much like a 13, actually more than 13, close to like a 17x, right? Return, that's 1,700%, on top of the costs that they are selling. But meanwhile, Nigeria will be doing 10% margin, 7% margin. If you're doing 7% margin, by the time tax man comes, everybody comes, you scale, you do payroll, you're not going to be profitable as a business, and that's why most of us just engage in trade, because trade is just in trade, that you make those very, very tiny margins. We don't think innovatively. So I love what the two entrepreneurs that pitched today have pitched. They talked about things that were innovative, that, for example, Faith could make a stuff like for $7 per piece and sell it for $45 per piece, because she's emphasizing safety. She's appealing to the heart, not to the wallet, right? The person is thinking about, what if I die? What if this happens to me? So their willingness to pay is higher. Those are like the kind of business we need to be doing on financial storage point of view. So that's the first thing. Think about your unit economics. Don't be afraid to price properly, right? Focus on markets or spaces where there's high willingness to pay and charge very well for your product. Now, I'll take that down from financing to accounting. In general, it makes sense to keep your books properly. A lot of us still mix personal finances with business finances, and also do not understand that a corporation is very different from you as a person, and you need to learn to separate that as much as possible. A good benefit of separating that also is in Western societies, typically businesses are favored from a tax point of view. So in general, I always even advise people to have an LLC, or at least even an unincorporated venture, even if they're not actively doing business, because by the time you mix one or two things together, depending on the tax regime in whether it's Germany, US, or the UK, you can actually do a lot in saving on taxes. And I know, like most humans, right, especially most Africans have side hustles. Think about having an entity for your side hustle, even if you are not necessarily fully focused on it. It's not until you build a big business that you have to have an LLC, right? Everybody, in my own opinion, should have an LLC. It's super cheap to start one, nothing special. You should have one at the very least. Hope I've been able to cover a couple of bases there. For meetings like this, I always like people asking very direct questions. So you can help them where it's paining them or where they really think they need to learn. But thanks for asking that general overarching question around finance and accounting and bookkeeping. Yeah.
Thank you so much for such an insightful one. Mr. Ayodele Ojo, please can you shed more light on bookkeeping and accounting in business and building a global brand?
Well, I have to echo what Mr. Kwame said there. We are mixing terminologies, but let me just start with bookkeeping. Bookkeeping, fundamentally, starting point is just a record of your financial transaction for that company. That is just it. What you're buying, what you're selling, and then you can work out your profit margin. So are you making a loss or are you making profit? Mr. Kwame also alluded to the fact that companies fail, especially in Nigeria, because they don't do bookkeeping very well. And the reason is because, for example, they go to the market, they buy XYZ, 5 naira, that's it. Then they sell at 6 or 7 naira, that's it. They think they're making money. What they are not factoring is the cost of fuel, the cost of transport to go there, the cost of AC, the cost of every other thing that goes into making that product. And when any of those things shifts, then by the time they realize it, they put their own personal money because they've not segregated their money, their personal funds from their business funds. Bookkeeping helps you keep a track of that. Every time you spend money, every time you do something along the manufacturing line, you document it. It's not about projections. It's about what is happening as is at that point in time. That's your bookkeeping. It's your first step in the accounting process. Then by the time you now start talking about accounting, then you're looking at other stuff, like he said again, taxman, revenue, there will be tax you need to pay. A lot of us in the UK, we get our HMRC. At the end of the year, you just get a letter saying you owe X amount. A lot of us don't factor that in because we've forgotten that for every time you make money, you need to pay the taxman about 20%. We forget because we think, oh, if we made loss. No, sometimes it's just a turnover. The minute you are making money, you need to keep an idea of what will you pay to the taxman when they come visiting. When they come visiting 1 year down the line, you find out that, okay, the money you thought you were making, I was making 20% return on investment. By the time the taxman comes to collect 20% of 20%, you're like, I'm surprised. So bookkeeping is the first step, your daily transaction. It's not about projections. It's just what have you done and what are you getting? Before you then move into accounting, by the time you start looking into accounting, then you're looking at, okay, I borrowed 1 million and I have to pay back 20% over. Then that's where you start looking at projections and what have you. And then when you start going global, you are now dealing with multiple tax regulations across different borders. So where you set up your HQ can make a big difference to your profitability. So as a global brand, that's what you're looking at. Okay, trading globally. Do I want to set up in England where they take 20% of your money every time? Or do I want to set up in Ireland where you can negotiate what they're taking? Or do I want to set up in a country where it encourages for the first 2-3 years, they won't even charge you anything? So that's where global finance differs. You've got to make sure that whatever you're doing in an economy, tapers to the local legislation from a tax perspective. And in that scenario, you need global accountants. It's a very, very rare to get one accountant that can do all of that for you. That's why people go for a firm of accountants, where somebody specializes in ASPAC, Asia, America, the US, and England, the EU. So those are your factors when you're thinking about global businesses. The tax regulations are different for different areas where you set up your HQ. So don't be surprised that at a point in time, Apple set up its HQ in Ireland, not the US, for tax purposes. So those are the things you need to think about at a global level. But we're starting businesses right now, right here. You are doing bookkeeping. How much did I pay for this? How much did I sell that? Work out your debit from your credits, determine whether you are profit or not profit. Then that's when you start going into projections. Thank you.
Thank you so much for such an insightful one. So I have a question from Mr. Adeolu Koya. He said, what was...
I'm sorry, may I chip into that comment as well around accounting and bookkeeping? Is that okay? Can I still chip in?
Yes, it's fine.
So just I think it's very important in business to keep track of your financials. It's especially down the line you're thinking about mergers and acquisition. You know, I'll give you a good example. Last year, we were in the process of acquiring a garage business. I think in Nigeria we call it a mechanic business, but it's done within compliance here. So the guy that was trying to sell the business to us, you know, we went back and forth on it for about 3 months. I was very interested. The guy said there was a lot of money going on, not being recorded, but going underneath the radar, which was good. But from a valuation standpoint, it didn't really stack up. You know, the cash flow was really good as well, but I couldn't go with the with what it was going with cash in hand because there was no recording of it. We had to go with what was digital, especially if we had to request finance. That's also just as important. So keeping a good summary of your accounting, you know, the ins and outs of your business, it does help towards your valuation. You know, even taking track of depreciation of your assets as well. It's just as important. So either figuring out how to do it yourself or hiring someone to do it. In my case, I hire someone to do it. So you know, and that's, if I have to make any financial decision, I have to always bring my accountant into the equation. And he will give me his own context, and I'll look at things from a cash flow perspective. And when you're looking at return on investment, an investor might be looking at cash flow times 100 over money in the deal, and he will start assessing how long it would take him to get that money out, or what kind of value is he getting for the money invested. So please be mindful that keeping your records on point, and if you can keep digital records, it's a lot better because it helps towards down the line when if someone has to acquire your business or come in and invest a certain amount of money, they want to see the records as close as possible. All right. So I thought I'd chip that instances into the conversation. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So I have a question from Mr. Ade Olukoya. And he said, what was your strategy for attracting talent? I don't know if we understand that. Do we understand that? What was your strategy for attracting talent? Mr. Ade Olukoya, please, can you come on board to expatiate more so that they will be able to answer your question clearly?
Yeah, when you're a small business, you're not established yet, obviously. So, well, for me, from my experience, I just want to know how did each of you attract your best people? Did you go out offering huge chunks of your business, or do you go out offering large sums of money at first? So which one was it? Did you offer money? Did you offer equity? Which one worked best for you? How did you sell your dream? Where did you go? I don't know. That kind of thing, yes.
Okay. Over to Mr. Opeyemi Awoyemi.
Okay, thank you very much, Ade. Maybe I should just give a quick overview of my experience in working with talent. So I started out as an entrepreneur pretty much early in life, right? As a student, you know, built Google Host, the web hosting company, then Jobberman. So at Jobberman, we grew to like 120 employees, where directly I was responsible for like 50 of them, and then became the head of jobs of Ringia One Africa Media after we sold the company. And then was head of jobs for the whole group, and pretty much had like 250 employees, right? That I manage directly. I will go till date. I'm still the chairman of the company. And we have like 90 employees as well. And I've also directly been responsible for hiring C-level executives for these companies. I also worked at Indeed for a while, where I led a team of like 20 people directly, but in extension, like 80 people. So that's like my experience in leadership, right? People leadership. And the venture studio, which is quite small today because it's all investment, it's just 8 people, right? And I have like very senior folks who work with me from like the investment committee. We have folks who have been like directors and on boards, like the first editor of TechCrunch in Africa works with me. So and not just Nigerians, so people from all nationalities, Americans, British, and whatnot, right? So how do you attract people in general, even for like a startup, like even at the very early stages? Number one, right, you have to show yourself to be a leader, and be able to sell the vision to them. That's number one, selling the vision, because people want to join something that they believe will be successful, and that's the difference. So I mean, for some of us, or maybe all of us that have worked before here on the call, right, you definitely know the difference on how you think about your own thing and someone else's thing. Like when you're working, you just want to do the work and get out, right? So you need to sell the vision so that they can believe, because they have options in general. That's number one. Then number two, especially for if you are looking like co-founders, early employees, yes, you probably have to sweeten them with some equity, because the same way you are also making a decision to run a business instead of working for someone else, right? If they have to work for you too, right, they have to know that it's going to be worth it on the long run. Taking a job at a small company instead of taking a job at a large company. I mean, there's a lot of large companies hiring out there that they will get their salary, and their salary will not be, will not shift. No issue, no coughs, right? No breaks, nothing like, oh, we can't pay on time, and there's room for growth and whatnot, So they have to be able to get the sense that they can get that with you as well. So in some cases, you might have to offer them something. Also, maybe also from an investor point of view, sometimes founders find it very difficult to raise when they cannot show that they can get a very strong co-founder to join them. Because it tells us that if you can get a co-founder to join you today, how can you actually build a $100 million business where you have to lead and sell vision to hundreds of people? So that could also be something to think about as to whether this is important or not. So when you find someone you really want to work with and think, you know what, I really want to work with this person, feel free to sell them the vision. Feel free to also test them. So for example, sometimes it's very difficult to know how people are going to behave or work until you actually hire them, fortunately. So in cases like that, feel free to also be able to take a loss, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months salary. But at the same time, so for equity, for example, always do vesting agreements. Even among co-founders, we don't invest in founders that say, oh, I have the shares permanently. Even if I invest in your company today, we're going to invest all the equity you own. Because you can decide to also say, oh, you know what, I'm tired. I just want to focus on my 9 to 5. Then me, I'd have wasted my own money as an investor. So we'll make sure you invest your equity over 3 to 4 years and you earn it bit by bit. Because if you stayed on something for 4 years, then you probably would have done all the real hard work to get the company started. But if you stay for 2 months, you now say, oh, I will keep my 50% or 20% of the company. Definitely is a no, Also, in terms of equity, you can also think about like how many people am I going to hire over time? How many people are going to be among the core team? So think about that also before you start doling out equity. I knew one guy who wants to talk to someone and the person said something nice about his business. He'll say, I'll come on board 5%. Before you know it, the business was everybody had 5% in the business and there was nothing left. So, so don't do that. And even if you have to do that, make sure it is vested, so that the same way you got people in, you can also get them out if they can do the work. And doing the work has 2 things: is ability on one side, there's also availability. You need to make sure it's a bit of both. The smartest person who is not going to be available to you is as useless as someone who is not great, but is going to be available to you. So have that in mind too as well.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, sir. So we just have, two more questions because of our time. So we have a question from Miss Faith. She said, did you launch a PR campaign to raise awareness about your brand? If yes, what steps did you take? I would like Mr. Ayodele Ojo to answer that question first.
Yeah, thank you. Unfortunately, no, I did not launch a PR. Sorry. Just give me a sec. Unfortunately, no, I did not launch a PR campaign to get my investors. I used my network to get my investors. So people I know, people I've spoken to, people that have kept their numbers, people that I've worked with, were people that I went back to speak to and say, look, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing it. This is what you get. And this is a proof that what I'm doing pays off. And that's all I needed. And up to the point where I had people wanting to do what I was doing. And I was saying, I'm not ready, I'm not available right now. So because of the fact that I can demonstrate previous successes, I have a track record. I have people that they always say to me, once you're ready to do it again, let me know. And I do my own stakeholder investors on a case-by-case basis because I'm doing properties. So on a given property, I'll get in a certain amount of people, and that's what we'll do the deal on, and then we move on. So it's not like we keep adding people to it or we keep taking people out of it. So my strategy and my methodology is quite bespoke. So back to Ade's initial question, which is how do you attract people? Sometimes you pay them, as Okoyemi said, in terms of getting them, giving them salary to identify whether this is somebody you want to continue working with over time. Sometimes you get people that want to put a skin in the game. They want to build something from scratch. You have a shared vision. And for it to be shared, you must tell them, as Okoyemi said, what your vision is. And then if you are both aligned, then start something. But what I will always say is, document whatever that agreement is. Please, please, please don't do the, let me Google a contract. Let me tweak and make it adaptable and let us sign it because you are my blood brother. It does not work. When you guys fall out, you will not believe this is the same person you signed up with. Pay the legal fees. It is not the end of the world. What is worth doing well is worth paying for. That is my philosophy. Don't do things for free. Don't do shortcuts. Don't use drafts. Because I bet you when it falls apart, it will cut you an arm and a leg. People don't want to do the let's sign a contract piece, but when you're identifying talent, you need to set clear goals. What do you expect? What are you giving? What are you getting? Those goals may change over time, but every time it changes significantly, go back to the contract place. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So I have a question for Mr. Annie Andrew. In the diaspora, UK, US, Europe, all over, we've seen other people, tribe, and what do I mean? Tribe, rather. What do I mean? The Haitians, the Turkish, they thrive in business, and we Africans, we are there, but we are not there yet. So, sir, can you just enlighten us about, business, in the diaspora, and how, we can also get to that stage whereby, like, for example, in Germany, the Turkish people, they are ruling when it comes to business, even more than the Germans themselves. So what can we Africans also do, to get to that stage in business? Are there stereotypes? Are there things, we need to let go of? So please, sir, Mr. Annie Andrew, I want you to, enlighten us on that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So one of the things that has hampered a lot of Africans is the community. That community feeling is missing out here. People don't want to share, and I think that is actually a big problem. Someone is always like, if I tell my brother or my sister, I take the limelight and I lose an opportunity. It's not really like that. So it's if we all come together, especially what the Asians do, They band together. People, they have a community where people are sharing a lot of information, and even ignorance is not an excuse for no success, right? Because the information is all out there. So you must understand, you must start now going out of comfort zone to be intentional about building relationships. It's important. So one of the things I've been doing in my own space is I run a cyber practice. And one of the things that we're doing, alongside with the consultancy, we run a training program where we bring people on board. It's not really about the money, but we're there in that forum where people are talking about what we could do. And we talk about our businesses, or everyone that is in there, you might have an idea. We empower each other by supporting your brother or your sister, because if you could do that, the money stays within and you can actually expand over time, right? And the business actually grows. So one of the key things that we could do is to get away from, try as much as possible to share information. Think about synergies. Think about win-win, not a win-loss approach or a loss-win approach. Think about how, who you're networking with. Be intentional about that. And also, what else are you bringing to the table? Be ready to take a little bit of risk. Be ready to take a little bit of risk to be able to go out of your comfort zone. And I think that is what can make someone succeed. Business in the diaspora isn't so difficult, but it does take time. One has to be very patient. There's so much people are doing. So, for instance, myself and Ayo, we've actually partnered together on a property deal. Things like that. There's been a synergy there, and we've just hit it. We've just carried on. We all have, two of us have different strategies, and we bounce off each other. If something works in his space, he will share with me. If something works in my space, I share with him. Both of us are also in cyber. And especially for someone like me, I'm always looking for new opportunities. So I'm always really looking for people that want to, to empower younger people to get there quicker. We talk about like the 4 quadrants. The system here, if you're an employee, you need to be thinking about, and there's nothing wrong if you sit as an employee, because, the tax man takes his money before he pays you, and that works in other economy. But you need to be thinking about how you move across the different quadrants, become self-employed, start thinking about big business, start thinking about providing a solution, and monetizing that solution is okay, right? Don't think you can't charge a price. And I think people get very uncomfortable to put a price tag when they want to offer a service to a brother or a friend or whatever. Feel okay. It's okay, because if I can pay, a day or two for that service to offer to my kids, the money stays in the circle. And that's how the circle continues to grow. So I would say, networking is just as important. Also, acquire the knowledge, go out of comfort zone, build the relationships. And, that's exactly what I would do. We are doing that already in our space, and we welcome other people to come join us.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Mr. Ayodele, in 1 minute, please, what do you have to say about that?
Okay, what do I have to say about what, please?
About the question I asked, how can we Africans, also come to the level of, other people like Asians, Turkish, in building business in the diaspora?
I was a bit confused by that question because it's quite generic but quite specific, and I'll tell you why. I'm from Nigeria, as you can tell from my name, and I've worked with a lot of Ijebus, and they do businesses together. They do businesses together like no man's business. But move away from the Ijebus and you go to the Ekitis. We don't do business, we read books. So there's a nature, nurture, culture bit in it. So you can't just say African. There are Africans that actually work together in England that I've seen. But what Annie is saying there is what we've practiced, that when you're in a new place, you have to come up with new methodologies. We don't have the 10, 20, 30 years relationship. Annie and I met 6 years ago. And like I said, we hit it off. We've done businesses together worth hundreds of thousands of pounds just by hitting it off and trusting each other. But like I said earlier on, having a contract in place, that business is finished and we become friends, family friends. We travel together. So you've got to open yourself up, but you've got to do it slowly over time. Don't just expose yourself and then you get exploited. So over time, you build the friendship, you build the trust, and then you will win some, you will lose some. The prayer for everybody is that we win more than we lose, and we learn from what we lose. That is the way to go. If you keep doing I am the I am on your own, I'm sorry, you are just going to be on your own. But if you open up and widen it up, you can achieve more as a collective. Annie and I did a business where he put in a few thousand, I put in a few thousand. The property currently is valued over £1 million. And that's how it starts. And over time, that is going to grow and grow. But you got to start small. So don't open your safe or your passwords or your dreams and everything to everybody that comes. You've got to do the test. A little test here, a little test there, and then you grow it and scale it up. And I'm a Yoruba guy, and he's not a Yoruba guy, and we get on like a house on fire, as you can imagine. So it's a case of, in this global village that we're in, you find people that make you better and you make them better, that both of you are gaining. It shouldn't be a one-way relationship. You should always look for a two-way relationship where both parties are going. Otherwise, somebody becomes top dog and then somebody becomes the follower, and you don't want to be in that position.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. And lastly, from Mr. Opeyemi Awoyemi, in 1 minute, sir, please, what do you have to say to the question that was asked?
If we're talking about the same question, I think I'll pretty much to Mr. Dele's line, around the fact that you cannot group Africans together and people do business with each other. The biggest thing you need to know when you're doing business with others is, do you have pretty much same level of emotional quotient, which means intellect and understanding to work with each other. Some people are troublesome and tumultuous by nature. They're just hard to work with, right? When you see those kind of people, avoid them. Some people are open, even if there are money issues. It's just about us discussing it and agreeing on how to move forward on those issues. Find people like that who are reasonable in the way they think. People who, when they say 1 + 1 is 3, even when they realize they are wrong, they will not go back just because they don't want to say sorry. Avoid those kind of people. You get the point. And a lot of Nigerians like that, right? But then you cannot generalize, right? This is very personalized. I would even argue that even when it comes to this tribe thingy, right? Yes, that might have held true, some 50, 60 years back when those people stayed in the same locations. But a Nigerian that spent last 15 years in America, are they really Ijebu as much as, Ijebu like that, So, and again, we have a flawed way of tradition in Nigeria. I don't want to go deeper into that, but let me just say this. In Nigeria, if my grandfather is from Ijebu, then I'm from Ijebu. It does not make any sense. If I was born in Florida and I've always lived my life in China, I'm not Ijebu, I'm Chinese. I'm more Chinese and American than Ijebu. So that's even flawed. So typically when it comes to, I'm very non-tribalistic when it comes to Nigeria, because that tribing doesn't make any sense. In America, you are from where you were born, where you grew up. In Nigeria, you are from where your grandfather is born. Doesn't make any sense, So that being said, still look at the person, right? Don't fully trust. Try and understand the person. Test, and when you realize that person is the right person to work with, be very open to working with them. And it's a give and take, right? Don't work with people that you don't respect. Again, I think for me, that's like the final bit I want to talk about. That don't work with people that you don't respect. If I don't respect you, I'm going to feel as if I'm doing all the work. I have to respect the knowledge and the talents and the capital, whatever you bring on board, and you also have to have the same, right? So it has to be yin and yang. Even if there are 4 people, we all have to have mutual respect for each other. Mutual respect is what builds, society. What builds people to say, we can do this together. If there are mutual respect, everybody will see one of the people as a parasite, and that's from day one. That foundation will be flawed. So that's my contribution to that.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much, sirs. Thank you so much, Mr. Opeyemi Awoyemi. Thank you so much, Mr. Ayodele Ojo. And thank you so much, Mr. Ani Andrew. Thank you so much to Dare to Dream contestants, that made today's Eagles Den, what, gluing to your screen for. And, so to close today's section, I would like to call on my partner, Miss Marian Obot, to end this section and also to take the closing prayer. Over to you, Miss Mary.
Thank you so much, our guest panelists, and thank you, Ms. Faith. Thank you, Mr. Adeolukoya, for the business speech. We really, really appreciate you guys. We've learned a lot today, and thank you for our panelists who have been able to pour out their wisdom and knowledge with us. Take it from me, we are going to show, from what we've learned today, and you'll definitely hear good news from this meeting. So let's quickly share a short prayer. We've really gone into eating into our time for today. We're sorry about that. In Jesus' name, Father, we thank you for today. Thank you for the wisdom that has been shared with us today. Thank you, because we know whatever we commit into your hands, oh Lord, you make it perfect, you make it beautiful. Father, oh God, we ask, oh God, that as we have learned today, we are not going to be hearers only, but we are going to be doers. Bless the work of our hands, oh Lord. In Jesus' mighty name we are prayed. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, panelists. We appreciate you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you to our panelists again. I reiterate that. And everyone have a pleasant evening or afternoon, wherever you are.
Thank you.